Thank you for joining us in a new episode of TEDCO, The Leading Edge. I am Tammi Thomas, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at TEDCO. And with us today is Ashley Williams, CEO of Clymb. Ashley, thank you for joining us today to talk about your entrepreneurial journey with Clymb.
Thank you so much, Tammi. I'm really happy to be here.
All right, so Ashley, let's just jump in. Let's get started by you telling us a little about Clymb and what inspired the idea behind it.
Yeah, that's a really loaded question. So I'll start with the most recent reason for the inspiration of Clymb, and that is my background in education. So I'm a former educator and school leader. I was the director of climate and culture of a K-8 school in Baltimore City, and I was responsible for the emotional health of a staff of over 70 and more than 400 young people. And I found it to be an impossible task. And so I was super interested in finding a really engaging way to help young people self-regulate and manage their emotions. And that led me to the development of Clymb, which is an emotional health software for young people. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is that I have been a young person and I have experienced confusion. I've experienced doubt. I've experienced anxiety. I've experienced the gamut of the emotional experience. And it would have been really, really nice to have a resource to help me navigate that as a young person, because, especially 2 years into the COVID pandemic, when the Surgeon General has just issued a warning about the mental and emotional health status of our young people, it's so critical that they have these support systems in place. And so Clymb is a technology platform that exists for that specific reason.
Wow, that's amazing. So Ashley, can you go a little bit further in detail with us and tell us how Clymb is impacting our communities?
That's a really, really good next question. So really big, super exciting thing is that the mayor of Baltimore City recently recognized our work in emotional wellness and mindfulness and our goal of improving the emotional health of young people by making March 20th Baltimore Happiness Day. It's also International Happiness Day. The United Nations has indicated that happiness is a human right, and happiness is so intricately connected to our emotional well-being. So that was a really beautiful thing that Clymb is a part of. And because of Baltimore Happiness Day, we get to celebrate that in our city. We also have partnered with the American Heart Association to do studies on Clymb's efficacies in classrooms, how it affects climate, how it affects culture, how it affects academics, how it affects teacher burnout. We recently went live on a petition called the Prioritize Emotional Health Petition. It's a plea to Congress to pass federal dollars for evidence-based emotional wellness resources for young people. And then we're in classrooms, we're in nonprofit organizations, literally in the moment, improving the emotional health of young people, providing them with the tools and the soft skills that will improve their academics and improve their life outcomes, like improving their mental health. And then even later down the line, there's a connection between your emotional wellness, your emotional intelligence, and your lifetime earning. So we're knee deep in the work of improving the community through Clymb.
Yeah, my daughter, she just graduated from high school in Howard County, and I know I was just listening to some of the students when they were on all those Zoom calls last year and the year before, and this would be an amazing resource for our students. Coming out of the pandemic, we're realizing how much wellness and happiness is part of us having the best type of quality of life for all citizens.
I absolutely agree with that. And I also want to say, I have been banging on this drum of emotional well-being for years, and it was not until the pandemic hit that it became visible to not just sort of the experts in the field, but to everyday citizens about how important our emotional wellness is and how it literally affects everything that we do.
Because it's funny, because a lot of us were talking about our kids, but we need it too.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I know a lot of grown people who could benefit from Clymb.
Yes. Well. Raising my hand.
Yes. And the thing about emotional intelligence is that it's a learned skill. So the same way that you learn how to solve a math problem, the same way that you learn how to structure a sentence, you learn emotional well-being. And if we can teach this skill to our young people at a very early age, imagine how we can transform our society. So not just classrooms, not just individual humans, but whole groups of humans, right? Whole societies can change if we start to teach this at a very early age, because it's impacting how we connect with one another. When we look at, I mean, it's impacting how we connect with one another, but also with ourselves. And so when we look at the state of our politics, the way that we communicate, so much of that is just a lack of emotional intelligence.
Right.
That's really what it is. So I feel like this is a foundational skill, and Clymb is really here to bring this to the forefront of the national conversation, the same way that we talk about everything else, because I actually think it's mission critical for us as humans to develop these skills to continue in existence. Yeah.
Okay, so that leads me into the next question. So, because just as you can tell, I'm just so excited to be here and talking to you today, because you have something that when people talk about transform lives, I mean, this affects everybody from every walk of life. But okay, let me get back to the questions. What are some key milestones for Climb since its launch?
That's a good question too. So, we were once Infinite Focus Schools, and a very big milestone that we had moving into 2022 was to be completely rebranded to Clymb. And there were a few reasons for that rebranding. One was to find product market fit, because this is a product that can exist in the classroom, but it also can exist wherever young people are. So nonprofit organizations, whether they're at home, whether they're after school. So it was really important that we have a name that demonstrated that. So the rebranding was like a really big milestone of ours. Another really big milestone was some iterations and refinement to the software, just based off of user experience. And so that also came in combination with the rebranding, this personalization functionality, which I'm super excited about, this personalization functionality in Clymb, because what Clymb does is it meets every person where they are. So like when you go to your doctors, you get a personalized treatment plan. And so Clymb is approaching emotional health the same way that the doctor approaches physical health. We do a super quick assessment on the emotional health state of the youth user, and then we provide them with emotional wellness resources that meet them exactly where they are. So that really thrills me, that milestone. We also have an upcoming milestone where we're going to be doing some work around product market fit as well as product iteration. We've partnered with the Harvard Business School Field Immersion Program. So we have some MBA students coming down from Boston to Baltimore to work with us and to work with our users, so that we can really get deep in there with the user experience and make necessary refinements and iterations. So those are three really big milestones that we're excited about and that we're pushing forward with.
That's so exciting. And not only that, I want to speak this into existence. When those Harvard Business School students come down to Maryland, they're not going to want to go back to wherever they're coming from, because Maryland is the best place to do a startup.
It is. I agree totally.
And our quality of life is exceptional. Okay, so that leads us into the next question, which is, how has TEDCO helped your business? And before you answer, I just want those listeners, just in case you're not familiar with TEDCO, TEDCO helps to identify, invest in, and grow technology and life science startup companies in Maryland. So Ashley, can you just give some of the insights of how TEDCO has helped your company to grow?
Man, it's so many reasons. So TEDCO was one of our first investors coming in with a convertible note. And let me tell you, as a Black woman in tech, it is not easy to raise capital. In fact, in the United States, I think it's like 0.037% of all Black women get VC funding. So the fact that TEDCO stepped forward, they listened to me. One of the things that I know about TEDCO is some of their values. And there's this value of collaboration, and there's this value of respect. And I felt that. I felt the respect of my idea. I felt the respect for my contribution, for what Clymb can bring. And I felt the continued support of TEDCO. So there's that. And then there's also just like the on the ground support. So TEDCO put us in touch with a consultant firm here in Baltimore City that helped us to develop our early go-to-market strategies, which are leading to really highly qualified leads in our pipeline. So TEDCO has been the financial backing, which is critical for a startup, but it's so much more than that. It's like when you're starting your company, that first capital is critical. So they were, one of the first people to come in, which made it possible for us to close our seed round.
Thank you for that, Ashley. It's amazing that you picked one of the core values of TEDCO that I wrote an article about. Respect. I partnered with the Leadership Maryland and talked about how, to me, that's one of the more, I wouldn't say more important value, but it really spoke to me. And it's similar to what the reason why you pointed that one out. Okay, so the next question. What's your vision for the future of Climb?
That's a good question too. My vision is to literally live out our mission, right? Clymb's mission is to spread happiness, enrich the lives of young people, and dismantle harmful repetitive cycles by assessing and teaching emotional wellness. And we want to do that at scale, right? So think millions of young people. We're touching millions of lives. We're changing mindsets and perceptions about what's possible in a human life through the engagement and development of these emotional intelligence skills. So we want to go wherever young people are. And I mean, globally. I imagine kids using Climb who speak Swahili. I see kids using Climb who speak Spanish. Kids using Climb who speak Korean. It doesn't matter your language. It doesn't matter where you are on the planet. This is a resource that can be helpful and that can improve human experience. So we want to be there. That's the vision. It's a big vision.
And it will start out of Maryland, right?
And it starts out of Maryland. It's based in Maryland, And I mean, but that also gets to what you were saying earlier about how Maryland is really a really good place to be for a startup to begin a business. There are so many resources here. There's an amazing network. There are so many support systems. So Maryland is a great place to be. I'm happy that this is my home state.
Fantastic. Now, before we close out, especially since we're talking about Climb and how you're all about happiness and wellness, can you share with us, what do you do for fun during your downtime?
I like to spend time with my family. So I just got married, always with my family. I also like to spend time in the natural world. So you might find me on some local trails. I love that. And I'm also like big on travel. So I like to travel, of course, in the States, but outside of the States as well. So those are like where you're going to find Ashley hanging out. She's either going to be, and honestly, I'm going to be with my family through it all. I'm going to be, on the trails with my family, and I'm going to be traveling with my family as well.
All right. Well, that's outstanding. And I can't thank you enough, Ashley, for joining us today for our episode of TEDCO, The Leading Edge. And we're just so proud of you and so thankful for being a part of your journey. We know that you're going to not only be successful in your entrepreneur endeavor, but that what you're doing, your company, is going to impact the world. And we're so glad to be a part of that.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be a part of the TEDCO community.
All right. So folks, there you have it. If you're interested in figuring out ways and accessing tools for our kids to be happy and be productive, great citizens, you know where to go. It's Climb.